What if your coaching skills and not your marketing are the real reason your business isn't reaching its full potential? In today's episode of the Nourished CEO podcast, I'm joined by my friend, Dr. Kasey Jo Orvidas, a psychologist with a PhD, experienced fitness coach, and creator of the Health Mindset Coaching certification. In this episode, we're exploring how shifting your clients' mindsets can totally transform their results and your business. We dive into how mindset work shows up in client retention, sales, and even your own confidence as a coach, and why supporting clients with their mindset goes so much more beyond just cheerleading or saying good vibes only. If this episode inspires you to go deeper, Kasey is also kicking off a free live training series called The Coaching Code, which starts this Thursday, August 14th. In this training, she'll teach you how to coach more effectively, reduce your own self-sabotage along with your clients' self-sabotage, and help your clients actually stick with the plan so that they can get results. Grab the link in the show notes to join. It's seriously a no-brainer and will help you take action on everything you're about to learn today. All right, let's get into it. I am so excited to have with us on the show today, Kasey Jo Orvidas. Welcome to the Nourish CEO podcast, Kasey.
Hello, hello. I'm happy to be here. And we've got to hang out twice this week now.
I know if you guys are, well, technically, if you're listening now, it was a couple of weeks ago, but if you're in the NBA program and you came live, you got to hear all about the mindset skills that are helpful for becoming a better coach. And if you are in NBA and you have not watched this training with Kasey, then go check out module 3 because we just uploaded it in there and it's a really good one. So, all of that to say, I wanted to have Kasey come on to the show today to talk about how coaching skills and how being able to shift clients' mindsets can be so beneficial to growing your business, not only in the way that you serve your clients, but also in the way that you sell and market. Because we have kind of, I would say, like similar maybe backgrounds as far as like having the health business and then moving into supporting other health business owners and really just seeing the spectrum of what it takes to grow a successful business as people who are running our own successful businesses. So I always just love to bring strategy into these conversations because I think sometimes people can hear the word mindset and think it's all about like vibes and like, just believe in yourself and everything will work out. And I just love that you take such a educated approach to mindset. And so I don't want to steal your thunder. First of all, can we just give a little background as to how did you even get into talking about mindset specifically? Because I know you have a PhD in psychology, but was that like always the thing you talked about? Did you ever used to be more into just like fitness and then it got into the psychology behind things? Tell us a little bit about how you even got here.
Yeah. I kind of fell in love with health and fitness and psychology to the degree that I'm at now around the same time in college. And with health and fitness, it was me on like the bodybuilding.com forums and like reading through all of that stuff and just really falling in love with strength training and nutrition and how that dedication and determination to those things would spill over into other areas of my life. And I was getting an undergraduate degree in psychology at the time. I was more interested in criminal psychology and forensic psychology and thought that was the path that I was going to go. Believe it or not, I wanted to be a prison warden at that time. So
So
I know
nice.
quite the left turn, right?
I love learning that about you.
So that was like my undergraduate research, and all the time I spent in there was mostly like Minnesota Department of Corrections. So at the same time, though, again, like personally was really getting into health and fitness. So as I was wrapping up my undergraduate degree and really thinking, okay, do I want to go the prison warden route? Do I want to be a criminal psychologist? What do I want to do here? But I also have this like side passion that I've now developed for health and fitness and have seen it with myself, was really starting to like consider like, could I be a part-time coach? What does that look like? And decided to really see if I could meld those things together instead. It was kind of one of those things where everyone is interested in criminal psychology to some degree. That's why we have like NCIS has been around for like 100 years and like all these crime podcasts and things like that. People are interested in that, but not everyone is interested in health and fitness to the degree that I was interested in it. And was really wanting to better understand why so many people knew they should eat healthy and exercise and take care of themselves but they weren't. Had such a hard time doing that. And I really was of the belief that there had to be something psychological to that, right? And so that's kind of what spun me in the direction of let me look at more professional degrees and see if I could like answer this question in a different way. And I stumbled upon truly the mindset lab at NC State, and that's where I ended up doing my PhD. I had nothing to do with, had no idea what even mindset science was. And this was like 2014, 2015 that I was applying to programs, and you did not see mindset all over social media like you do today at that point. So came into that, really loved Raleigh, North Carolina, which I know, Laura, you were very familiar with that area of the country. Really loved Raleigh, really loved who would be my PhD advisor. She was bringing mindset science to a lot of different areas, including health behavior change. And that was the direction I really obviously wanted to go. So that's what kind of like spun me into the direction of like blending mindset specifically with health and fitness, and fell in love with it. And I literally would have never expected, like back then when I was applying to programs, that I would be creating a certification for health and fitness coaches to learn mindset and behavior change and psychology and how to apply that with their clients. That was never really like the end goal, but things just kept kind of unfolding in that direction. And yeah, I'm really thankful for where I am today. But that's kind of like the short and sweet story.
Yeah, I feel like the psych degree to entrepreneur pipeline is really strong because I did my undergrad in psych. And I feel like when you do psychology and you learn all this stuff about human behavior and, it's like, oh, I can use that information to now make money and make more money than if
Mhm.
I just got a regular job because so much of sales and marketing and program design and all the stuff we have to do when you run a business is deeply rooted in psychology and human
Yeah.
behavior. So that is funny because I'm like, now I'm gonna just imagine you as a prison warden in Minnesota in a different timeline. So
I know,
that
I
that's
know.
it.
That was literally one of the options, really, truly.
That's so funny. So when did you start your business?
Okay, so I started as an online health and fitness coach, as an assistant coach for someone else in like 2016. So
Mhm.
while I was getting my PhD, I needed to make money. You don't make a lot of money being a PhD student. So I was like, wait, I can do this thing that was like my passion project on the side type of thing. And then started working at a gym in downtown Raleigh shortly after that. I was there for like 3 years. I was like their nutrition coach, which was great because as I was spending all of my time getting said PhD, they were also sending me clients. So I didn't have to worry about getting clients,
Mhm.
but got a ton of experience in the coaching realm and started to kind of without even trying blending what I was learning like in the lab and doing research in with my one-on-one fitness coaching clients. So I guess I you could say I started my business then because I was a contractor, I was still like doing stuff for them, promoting myself, doing in-person seminars, stuff like that, but didn't really go all in on myself until like October of 2019-ish.
Mhm.
So that's where I had finished my PhD, was like, what am I going to do? It's like, okay, let's try this entrepreneurship thing. And at that point, I knew I wanted to go beyond just the one-on-one fitness coaching realm. I wanted to take what I learned in my PhD and now with my years of experience and help other coaches understand this stuff too, get out of the ivory tower and academia and papers and all of that and actually give this to them directly. So that's
Mhm.
where I really started to think about like what would that look like. And in 2020, like fall of 2020 was our first cohort of the health mindset coaching
Oh,
certification.
wow. Okay. I don't know if
Yeah.
I knew that that happened so fast after graduating. That's cool. I
Yeah.
guess that would have been a good time. That was a good time to get into online business as a health
Very much
expert.
so. Yes.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, so let's talk a little bit about before we hit record, we were kind of talking about how do we want to present this because mindset is such a buzzword and the people can kind of like glaze over. I'm sure you've had that experience before where you
Hmm.
start to talk about mindset and people are like, okay, I've heard this whole mindset
Yeah.
thing before. So, but as we were saying, human behavior, mindset, human psychology, all of that is such a critical element of running a business successfully and actually serving clients well. So even if it's something that seems kind of buzzy or played out, it isn't. And I don't think it ever will be because as long as we're working with humans and as long as AI can't actually function like a real living human, this is something that's going to be really, really important for as a skill set for anyone who wants to work with other people. So I don't know for you what makes the most sense to start because we were talking again before I hit record, and I said when we work with our clients in the Nourish Business Accelerator program, we look at the 3 core areas of their business, which is how are you attracting potential clients to you? How are you converting them into paid clients? And then how are you serving them within your offer? And psychology, mindset, motivation, all of that actually impacts every single one of those pieces.
Mhm.
So for you, when you're thinking about somebody's ability to coach, ability to shift mindsets, where do you feel like the biggest issues are coming up for entrepreneurs in like which category do you think the
Mm.
inability to shift mindsets causes the biggest problem?
Oh my gosh. I don't even know if I can pick because it is such like a system that works together. So when I talk so much and like this is like the thing that I'm talking about all of the time is coaching practices. And so
Mhm.
like this is really like once you have the client and they are struggling to stick to the plan, you're having clients for your 3 to 6 month minimum commitment and then they're leaving and now you're having to sign another client. So you can see where if you can help your clients stick to the plan, stop self-sabotage, get better results, stay around longer, how that really does impact your business sort of as a downstream effect.
Mhm.
However, a lot of this stuff is also very, very important when it comes to how you're speaking to prospective clients, be it on social media or inside your application forms, on your sales calls, like you kind of alluded to. Human behavior and psychology is everywhere.
Mhm.
So what's great is that I have students who come into the certification and they learn about their coaching practices, but now they're thinking, how can I apply this model of behavior change to my sales calls? And that's actually
Mhm.
like a direct example. I have had one of our alumni members come up with how they can use the stages of change model in their sales calls. And it's actually been working really, really well.
Oh, that's
So
awesome.
yeah, so cool. So it really does show up everywhere. So we can kind of like dive in at any point. We can walk through each phase and like what kind of comes up. But yeah,
Well, I'm laughing because I created a framework for our social media content type of guidelines. It's called, I think, oh gosh, I made it so long ago. I think it's called the 5D framework, but it's literally based on the stages of change. And like,
there you
how do you
go.
create content that speaks to people at different stages of change?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
psych for the win. Yeah, let's start with serve though, because that's how we do it in our program. We start with the serve piece, move to sales and conversions, and then we move to
Perfect.
marketing. So how would somebody know in the way that they're serving their clients that their ability to coach effectively might not be where it needs to be to run a successful business?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of signs that you could be looking for, but my assumption is if you're listening to this podcast, you've even heard some of the stuff that I've been saying so far, like self-sabotage, clients aren't sticking to the plan, they're leaving before you feel like they're actually ready to leave, but they're saying that they are. You have clients who are ghosting check-ins or they're not giving you very much information. They're frustrated with their progress, even though you're frustrated because they're not giving you information to actually help them. If you're hearing any of this and you're like shaking your head, like, or nodding your head rather, and feeling like that resonates, then there is likely something that you can do. And that's the best part though, right? Is that there is something that can be done. And I think so many coaches just feel like their hands are tied in those situations. Like, okay, I delivered the nutrition, the exercise, the stuff. This person agreed that this seems like a good plan. Like, what else am I supposed to do? I can't, the classic, I can't go to their house and meal prep for them. I can't go to their
Mhm.
house and pick them up and take them to the gym, which is true, but there's also so much more you can do. I hear this like classic phrase all of the time of you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink, right? And like that's yes, there is a lot of truth to that. But you can also, and this is like my take on it, you can also sweeten the water, or you could show them how to go get water from wherever it I'm like thinking about the horse, like bring a bucket over to the
Shove
water,
its
bring
nose
it
in.
back. Yes, exactly. Like kind of like show them, hey, this is how you get the water. There's more that we can do. And it's just like it does require a little bit of like out of the box thinking in that way because most nutrition and fitness professionals are not taught this stuff. They're
Mhm.
taught exercise and nutrition, but we all know that exercise and nutrition isn't enough when it comes to that knowledge. Everyone knows that they should eat well and exercise. That doesn't mean they're actually doing it.
Yeah, and especially if somebody is in your audience, right? I mean, we might say, okay, maybe there's some people who really don't understand or don't care, but if somebody's following you, if somebody signs up to work with you, you can kind of make an assumption that they are at least aware of health, nutrition, fitness, and they've probably already tried some stuff before. It's rare that somebody would pay to work with somebody with absolutely zero history of
Mhm.
attempting to fix the problem on their own. So I think it's especially relevant for the people who work with clients. Most clients that are coming to you have already tried and not been successful. So
Mhm.
clearly there's something beyond just, oh, just give me the right information and then I'll suddenly magically be, rocking it.
Right, right, and that is, like, kind of to your point from before about AI, ChatGPT, all of that, like, ChatGPT can spit out some macro counts for your clients. It can write a fitness program based on, like, their limitations and their goals and all of that. So if you really want to, like, safeguard yourself from the world of AI and where that's going, like, this is the stuff that's going to make a difference because AI is not gonna know everything about your client and be able to have that sort of, like, human understanding of where that person's coming from and all the information that you've heard and the way that they're presenting information to you and the words that they're using. Like, it's not gonna pick it up and say, "Okay, your client has a fixed mindset, and these are the questions you need to ask now because of that." Maybe someday, and maybe I will be the one to release that
Program that.
program that, which, yeah, maybe. Now I'm like, "Business idea." But yeah, it really is the thing that's going to continue to set you apart, not just from AI, but from a lot of most
Mhm.
coaches out there. This is what is going to give you the leg up and allow you to stand out in the sea of online coaches, online coaching programs, even.
Yeah. Well, and I don't know, have you seen this about the AI thing where people are actually pointing out that it's terrible at like therapy or coaching or, anything
Hmm.
like that because it has a agreement bias of some sort where basically it's like, "Oh, if that's what you said, sure, I'll agree with it." And I'll just, kind of just responds in a way that reinforces what the input was.
Yeah.
And I've tried so hard, like, because I use it for finding holes in my marketing or whatever, where it's just
Hmm.
like, "Hey, give me, like, a different perspective on this." And sometimes I have to, like, tell it that I'm gonna fine you $1,000 if you say, anything like, too positive about this. Like, it's
Yes.
one of these things where if you don't know to do that, the coaching quote unquote experience with a AI like that is actually probably not going to do people much good because there's no challenging, there's no, looking for
Hmm.
context. It's all like, "Oh yeah, this is what you said. I'm going to spit out something that reinforces that." So, I do think
Yeah.
this is something that especially with the AI stuff, this skill set is going to be so valuable in like right now, let alone the near future because AI really is not capable of having that different way of thinking that would
Hmm.
actually break somebody out of problematic patterns.
Right, when
So
so much of it is, like, reframing and thinking different, but then you
mhm.
have this software that's literally set up to just, like, help you feel positively about what you're already doing.
Yeah,
It's
it's
not
like
really good
just
yeah.
reinforcing those bad habits and making you feel good about
Right.
it kind of thing. So as far as the mindset piece with serving clients, is this something that only works for one-on-one? Do you feel like this is something that affects group programs? Does it affect
Mhm,
courses? Because I know one of the things that I'm sure you've seen this and heard people talking about this. There's this whole feeling that group coaching and courses are dead, right? Like they're like
mhm,
nobody wants it anymore, nobody will buy it. And my perspective is that those kind of programs, if they're not designed in a way that actually helps people get results, which is probably what 90% of courses out there are not actually really designed that well, that's what is quote unquote dead. But do you feel like this kind of stuff can be baked into a one to many type of program, or is this really more about how are you interacting and communicating with an individual client?
Yeah, I think for sure everything. And in fact, I'm talking about the health mindset coaching certification. This is an online course and there is a live component to it. So I'm doing a discussion Q&A call with my students once per week as they're going through the program, but we're doing a lot of mindset coaching to our students inside this mindset coaching program, it gets very meta very quickly, but we have a bunch of coaches who are going through and like learning how to coach differently and picking up these new skills. And there's like science behind it and all this stuff. And especially for coaches who have been doing this for a while and they're like, oh, wait, the way that I was doing that isn't actually that supportive. Like now I have to relearn the way that I'm doing this thing that I've been doing for so long. There is often pushback that, oh, I need more examples or I need a script or I need something. And it's like, no, I don't think you do. I think you're just need to recognize that you're learning something new. Just like if your clients were to come to you and you're teaching them how to track macros or something, they've never done that before. that is a new skill for them, and there is going to be some friction and some difficulty and some challenge. So we are actually quite literally helping our students with their mindset as they're going through the program. And in fact, that's like one of the best compliments we receive is that coaches come through and they say, I came into this program to learn about mindset for my clients, but I'm leaving with like my own mindset being
Mhm.
shifted too. So, yes, absolutely. I mean, it's one of the first things in our welcome video for new students. We're actually talking about, hey, things are going to get hard and challenging. And remember, you're learning something new, and that's not always going to feel easy all the time. And that is mindset. That is like classic. Like, here's how we can start talking about growth mindset right away. Growth mindset is believing that even in the face of challenges, that you can continue to work towards something. You can see difficult situations as opportunities and ability to grow and learn and develop. So yeah, I think the underlying messages can absolutely be there in any format, whether that is a course, it's a group program, it's one-on-one, because it's all just about helping people recognize where their mindset is at, how to help guide them to more of a growth mindset. And if you're doing live calls or pre-recorded calls, whatever, it's all the same stuff, it's just said differently and it's set up differently.
Mm. Well, and that's the thing with the whole course or coaching program that I feel like with the AI stuff, it has to change because at this point, people can get information, whether it's accurate information, not always, but they feel like they can get information for free now. So
Mhm.
if that's all you're providing to your clients, then eventually, whether it's just not effective or it's something that people are not valuing anymore, it is something that it can't actually be the way that any of us run our businesses moving forward because it just won't be something that actually attracts or actually helps clients. Now, speaking
Mhm.
of attracting and actually selling to clients, I love talking about how this shows up in sales too, because I think you can be a great coach, but that doesn't necessarily translate into the selling experience. So when you talk about mindset impacts on sales, where do you see this showing up? And maybe somebody is not using skills that they have or they need to build these skills, but where does that show up in the selling process that can affect both the amount of sales somebody makes and then the kind of clients that they might be getting into their program?
Yeah, yeah, I think like, where do we wanna start? When it comes to, yeah, people who are coaches and then you're trying to sell, whether it is a one-to-many program, it's one-on-one coaching, it's an online course, we're coaches at heart, at our core, and so we are constantly trying to teach and help and fix and do all of that, but you have to remember that the majority of people in your audience that need your help, they currently feel like they have low motivation, they're getting in their own way, they're already experiencing a fixed mindset. So just teaching them all the time and telling them what to do all of the time isn't actually super helpful. And in fact, you may be pushing some of those people away because now they're just saying, like, here, I have all this information and I still can't do it. I still can't be
Mhm.
successful. Or if your mindset content is literally just go have a growth mindset. You just have to believe that you can do it. Just do it and be disciplined or whatever, those types of messages. Same thing. Like you have people who are like, "Yeah, but I've tried before and it didn't work for me. So what you're telling me is nothing new. It's not helpful." And you're truly just pushing them away again. So
Mhm.
I think just like too much educational information all of the time and that's it. That's all it is. Or too much of like, and I've literally seen coaches do this where they're sign up to work with me only when you're ready. Only when you know you're gonna stick to the plan, only when you're motivated and all of this stuff. I'm like, guys, that's literally the reason why people need to work with you is
Yeah.
because they don't feel ready. They don't feel motivated. They don't know how to stick to things. So if you're the coach out there saying like, these are the type of clients that I like to work with and who I want, because they're out there thinking like, that's who I want to attract. I want to attract the
Mhm.
easy and ready to go clients, but you're alienating 99% of people by doing
Mhm.
that. So it's really needing to think about your messaging and your marketing, advertising, all of that from the perspective of where those clients are currently at. How can we help them feel like this is possible for them? How can we help them believe in their abilities and see you as someone who is a resource that has a specific solution for them, something that they haven't done before, something that is going to be different, and that they can actually feel like confident and capable in themselves, not
Mhm.
necessarily just in you. But that's important too. But a big part of this and why people may really feel like, "Oh, I need this and this is going to help me, but I'm still not gonna do it," is it's them. They feel like
Mhm.
they aren't cut out for it, that they aren't capable, that they're gonna sign up, they're gonna buy this thing, and then fall short, and then disappoint not just themselves, but also now you too. So, really thinking about, like, what messages need to go out then if that's where people are at.
Yeah, well, and now because, it's probably been what, 5 years now that people are exposed to online coaching, online courses, that kind of thing. I feel like when you and I first started, I mean, I've been running my business since officially 2014. So back
Wow.
then, online stuff is like, "What? Like, what?
Mhm.
You're doing online nutrition consulting?" So it was weird back then, but now 5 years after COVID, not only is it not weird, but people have been burned probably at least once or twice from programs that they've done that have not been helpful. And so when they're coming to you, there's that whole like, no trust factor thing. They might like you, they might know you, they might trust you, but if you're not helping them trust themselves or helping them believe
Mm.
that they can be successful with you when they haven't been successful with other coaches, that is something that I think would be a major sales block at this stage of the game. So,
Mhm.
for somebody who might be running into this problem in their sales, let's just look at like the typical apply for a sales call, get on a sales call, and then potentially enroll, because that's what a lot of the people I work with do. That's what a lot of newer coaches and experts do to get clients. What might that look like if somebody is kind of botching the
Mm.
mindset and coaching piece during a sales conversation?
Yeah, I think whether it's through the application form or on a sales call, or even you're just in the DMs talking to someone who's like a prospective client, a prospective buyer, is thinking too much about what you need from that person, right? And being in that position of, okay, is this person a good fit for me? Like, I need to know where they're at, like what they want to achieve, make sure that they're set up and they're going to fit the program, fit the whatever. When we also really, really need to be thinking about that, again, that person and their mindset and where they're at. So, as someone's going through your application process, are you just collecting data to see if they're a good fit for you? Or are you helping them recognize whether or not they are a good fit for you?
Mhm.
So that they can be going through that application process or even just on the sales calls and arriving at a confident decision. And really what we're trying to do, and I'm sure you talk about this all the time, Laura, too, is that we're not like trying to convince people to buy and
Mhm.
like force their hand. If you do that, then you end up with, especially in a one-on-one client relationship, that is not going to be a fun time for you,
Mhm.
right? Not fun for anybody. So, like, making it really clear that this is about them and for them to make a confident decision and get all the information that they need to do what's best for them, and make sure that that message is really clear, because we're signaling safety and security, which is something our human brains really, really, really crave. So, as they're going through this application process, we want them to get to the end of the application before they even maybe get on a call with you and feel like, okay, I actually, now that I submitted this application, feel even more confident that Coach Laura is the person for me. I feel more capable in my abilities to do this, and I'm excited to take the next steps.
Mhm.
So, thinking from that perspective, what questions do you not currently have in your application form? Because you're instead filling it with, what's your body weight? What's your current diet? What are you doing for exercise? How many hours of sleep do you get at night? All of that stuff that's like not necessarily relevant at this point.
I was gonna say, sounds more like an
Truly.
intake form than a an
Exactly, but
application form.
so many coaches are doing that, and
Yeah.
just using that to, like, kick things off and seeing application forms as data collection, when the reality is we should be actually helping people move along in the sales process, whether that is
Mhm.
to work with you or not.
Mhm.
So, we just really want them to feel confident in their yes or no, and the reality is most no's are just, "I don't have enough information," or "I don't feel
Mhm.
confident in myself to do this," right?
Yeah. So, to get like extra granular, what would be an example of a question that instead of this data collection, what's your weight, all of that stuff, what would be a question that somebody could include in an application form for a sales call or DM conversation, wherever they're doing the selling, that would actually be conducive to building trust and belief in the application process?
Yeah, I like that. There's a couple that come to mind. First one is potentially asking, and this could, again, yeah, be in a sales conversation, could be in an application form, asking your prospective client or buyer what they're doing right now that is not working. So you're saying, okay, tell me what's currently going on and why that's not working for you. So as they're typing this out and they're thinking about this, they're quite literally telling themselves, what I'm doing right now is not correct. It's not going to get me to where I want to be. And usually without even needing to add like the second part to the question, what they're also answering is here's why I want to work with you instead.
Mhm.
So it's here's all the stuff that's currently not going well for me that I've been doing, and here's why I need to do something different. And so they're kind of convincing themselves that they need to stop doing what they're currently doing and do something else, ergo work with you, right?
Mhm.
So I really like that question to kind of get them in the headspace, in the mindset that this is a direction that I want to go and here's why. And
Mhm.
they're telling you, you're not telling them, which is really powerful. I think also kind of cliche, kind of corny, but asking how would something like one-on-one coaching or joining this program make a significant change in your life? And you could even say, in parentheses, just beyond physique or anything like that, kind of more of those like traditional metrics that people are looking at, so that they're now sitting here and thinking like, okay, well, what do I value? And like, what else
Mhm.
is important to me outside this stuff? So they are in this question, in this answer, taking the things that are important to them and connecting it now to your offer, which hello, like that's huge. And
Mhm.
also something then, if this is an application or like in a DM conversation, and then you take it to a sales call, you can bring that back and say, I want to hear more about that. Can you tell me more about the things that are important to you and how you think the work we're going to do together is going to get you closer to those things or attach those important things to the work that we're doing. And again, now they're kind of selling themselves to you and not the other way around. So yeah, just
Mhm.
a couple powerful examples.
Yeah, and then do you have an opinion about form length? Where
Mm.
is there a certain point where too many questions is actually counterproductive?
Yeah, for sure. Especially if someone is like landing on a Google form where they can scroll to the bottom. They're like, I'm not doing this right now. There's no way. Or a type form where they're like, okay, I'm question 12. When is this going to be done? Like, I'm out. So yeah, for sure. If you can, I would say really try to keep it under 10 questions if possible. Like, letting them know, hey, this is going to take you 3 to 5 minutes, and giving them that up front in advance. I think we've all been there where you start a process and you're like, I have no idea how long this is going to take and if I actually have the time. So if you tell them, hey, this is going to take 3 to 5 minutes, but make sure that like you're somewhere where you can answer the questions and really give it some thought, I think
Mhm.
that can be really helpful.
Yeah. I was just side note, I was filling out a speaker form recently and there was a lot of questions on it. And I came to one of the questions that was like, Please submit a 3 to 5 minute video of you talking about your topic so we can potentially use this for, the marketing for the summit or whatever." And I was like, okay, excuse me, I haven't even like been accepted into this yet. Why am I going to be going and recording, like putting makeup on, like
Oh,
making
yeah,
sure I get
right.
like the spit up off my shirt or whatever? And it's like, all right, well, I'll come back to this. And that was weeks ago and I still haven't filled it out. And I'm like, oh shoot, it's due soon if I'm going to do this. So yeah, that would be an example of like, okay, maybe don't ask for that on the
Mhm.
application form, like a
Yeah, you know
5 minute
what?
video.
Kind of like thinking about it in terms of friction, like we wanna make it
Hmm.
as frictionless as possible. So, but at the same time, they need to be powerful. Like use your questions wisely,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I mean, I think with friction, it's like we want enough friction where somebody who's just tire kicking and is like, "I just wanna see what question's gonna answer or asked on this,"
Mhm.
is not gonna finish it necessarily, but
Right.
then the person who really wants help is not gonna get exhausted by filling
Mhm.
it out and quit. So, it's like the happy medium of like, okay, you have to show that you want this a little bit, but you don't have to set aside an hour of your evening to get this filled out.
Right, exactly.
So then in the marketing side, the content creation, this is something that I feel like I don't know. There's so many people talking about this stuff and it's so funny to me because half the time the people who talk about not educating at all in your content, the content that they're putting out about that is educational and I'm like, do you not see that you're doing what you're telling people not to do? So I do think there's this kind of pendulum swinging happening between people saying, oh, it's like the Gary V model of just like keep giving them tons of value and then they'll
Mm.
eventually want to buy. And then there's like other people, I don't know anyone who comes to mind, but the other people who are like, educating is causing people to not sign up to work with you and you shouldn't be educating at all. And I personally kind of fall in the middle a little bit. And my ideal clients tend to be the people who do tend towards over educating and you can kind of
Mhm.
back off that. But what's your perspective on how all of this plays into content marketing specifically for getting clients?
Yeah, yeah, we can look at whether it's educational type of content or personal type of content like this. Obviously, you should be like mixing in a variety, right? You're not every single post is like, okay, creatine 101. Okay, now we macro tracking 101. But instead, it's like, please continue to do what you're doing, but then also think about the mindset side of things. So if you are talking about creatine and you're like sharing why this matters and whatever, like, so where in there can you be thinking, well, okay, the people that I work with typically have a hard time even getting their supplements in or like having the most basic habits laid down first. So maybe in that caption or somewhere in that post, it's like, hey, I know I'm talking about the importance of creatine, but the reality is, like, if you're at this place where you can't even consider adding something else into your life because you have all of this other stuff going on, like, that's okay. This
Mhm.
doesn't need to be the main focus. I don't want this to overwhelm you. There are even smaller steps that we can take that will allow you to still see success. So just kind of where can you lace that in? It doesn't necessarily have to be a creatine post. And like those can be fine just on their own too. But just where can you lace that into your content and that message as well? Speaking to the people out there who will come across that stuff and be like, cool, another creatine post or like more education when I can't even like get myself to the gym one time per week, you know?
Mhm.
So really thinking about where are those people coming from and how do you speak to them too
Mhm.
and allow them to feel like, because what can happen too is like us as coaches, as educators, we could get on this like expert pedestal. So the things that we're talking about, very quickly, someone with a fixed mindset comes across your post and the things that you're doing and all of this stuff. And you're like, great for her. She's a coach. She's been
Mhm.
doing this for a long time. This is her lifestyle. She doesn't have any kids. She doesn't have the life that I have, you know? And that's fixed mindset trauma will do that to a person who's coming across your content. So instead of it just being like, look at all this stuff that I'm doing and here's what you can do too, and all of this, like really be thinking about the people who are coming across and don't even feel like that's possible for them. How do you speak to them?
Mhm. Well, and I feel like with the educational stuff, if it's too much in that, here's what to do, here's, let's use creatine. Here's the product that I like. Here's what the volume of it that you should take. Here's how to take it, that kind of thing. Either you get into that issue, like you were saying, where the person who is feeling overwhelmed and already like, oh, like another thing I have to do, like that would be a turnoff. But then the people who aren't turned off by it half the time are the ones that are like, great, thanks for that help. I'm going to go do it and not pay you anything for any additional support because I just was here for the
Right.
free tips. So I feel like educational content is like, it's this dance that has to happen where you're not just giving people everything that they need so that they can just walk away and go do it themselves because obviously that's not helpful for your business, but then it's also not helpful for the people who don't have the ability to just take all of that information and go apply it and have absolutely no trouble doing it. So yeah, I feel like it's just funny to see
Mhm.
the people in our sphere that are like, don't educate at all. And then other people are like, education is how you get people to your page in the first place. And it's like, all right, but where does this actually fall into play?
Mhm.
Because I just feel like content has changed so much in the last 10 years or whatever
Oh my gosh, I
since
feel like
I've been doing it.
constantly changing. Every 6 months, it's sort of like, here's the new thing and the new way to do stuff.
Mhm. Honestly, I feel like it's
Yeah.
like 6 weeks at this point. So, cool. So we've gone through the different ways that mindset and coaching skills, communication skills can show up in delivery of your service and how you're selling and how you're creating content. Is there anywhere else that you feel like this shows up for people where this skill is something that could be the solution for that?
Yeah, I think the other main pillar is your own mindset, right? So thinking about yourself and like what you think you're capable of doing, whether it's from a business perspective, whether it's with client transformations and results and all of that. Ultimately, if you don't fully believe in your abilities to grow your business, to deliver those results consistently, to really support your clients who are self-sabotaging and all of that, you're going to have a hard time selling. You're going to have a hard time serving because you have a fixed mindset about your own ability. So, what's the point of trying if you don't feel like you can actually do all of those things? Right. So, really taking some time to think about your own mindset, whether it is a business mindset, coaching mindset, whatever, because we get mindset's very domain specific. So you can have a growth
Mhm.
mindset in one area and a fixed mindset in another. So really paying attention to where some of that is showing up. Oh, I'm not capable of that. I'm not the type of person who I've
Mhm.
never been able to, whatever those statements look like, and see how that could be impacting things. Because chances are it is.
Yeah, and I feel like it's so easy for people to see when their clients are doing it, but they don't necessarily see it when they're doing it, and I don't know how you feel about this, but I feel like especially now with how saturated the market is and how everybody and their grandma is a coach now, I feel like the people who really stand out to their potential clients are the ones that lead by example, whether that's actually demonstrating the example or just energetically
Mhm.
practicing what they're asking their clients to do. And I know that that's kind of maybe not the most obvious thing, but from a place of integrity and a place of, as our mutual coach James Wedmore has said, like being your word.
Mhm.
If you're somebody who is trying to tell your clients that they need a growth mindset, they need to be, changing the way that they're approaching things, they need to be more flexible, anything like that. And then you yourself are saying, well, I'm just not good at sales. I just can't, I'm not good at content. I'm not techie. I'm not blah, blah, blah. It's like, I always like to look at, okay, how much are you actually behaving the way that you don't even want your clients to behave? And can you be the one that goes first to make decisions that maybe are outside of your comfort zone that reflect your desire to grow, that look at, skills as something that can be built versus just, being born with them. So I don't know what your perspective on that is, but I really feel like the people who are embodying the growth mindset, the commitment to change, the commitment to learning and being willing to fail and all of that are the ones that are actually going to be the most successful because they're leading the way for their clients.
Yeah, absolutely. And like talking about those things that you're doing, right? Like makes for great content, makes for great marketing to be showcasing those things. And it's funny too because I when I talk to students and coaches about this, a lot of times where it comes back to is like when we talk about nutrition and fitness and coaches going out and getting education in nutrition and fitness in order to coach nutrition and fitness, and then we're talking about mindset and behavior change, and that just like suddenly becomes something that everybody can just do, but it's the same thing, like you need, if you want to go out and coach on nutrition, you should probably have training and education in nutrition. The same thing goes for mindset and behavior change, and that kind of plays a role then in your mindset, in your belief in your capabilities, and your coaching confidence, and all of those things too. Just the same. Like you probably wouldn't feel very confident helping someone with their nutrition if you didn't have education and experience and like tried and learned and failed and all of those things in that area. It goes for every single area. So if you are a coach and you feel like your hands are tied in a lot of those situations when it comes to mindset or clients who can't stick to the plan and they're ghosting you and all of that stuff, just know it's the same. There's going to require some practice and some tools and some strategies and some resources, just like when you didn't know how to set up a nutrition plan for your clients.
Mhm.
It's the same idea, but it just for whatever reason, it kind of became this like separate thing that doesn't necessarily require like formal education and training.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, kind of like a roundabout way of talking about that. But also too, like something that comes up for me when it comes to like coaching mindset is a lot of coaches have a handful of clients that they dread opening their check-ins every week, or like really like save to the last task of the day, or have beliefs about those clients like, "Oh, this person's just lazy, or this person just doesn't want it enough, or they're just not educated, or they don't understand, or they're needy, they need more handholding," all of this stuff. Like, I really hope you're not saying this to the client directly, but you may be saying this in the back of your head, just like that little voice. And those things that you're feeling and thinking, even if you're not putting it out there into the 3D, that's going to affect your coaching practices. If you're bringing that person to the end of the day when you like want to like you have the least amount of energy and or you're responding to people with like shorter remarks or you're excessively hand holding because you feel like they need that and now you're deterring their autonomy and ability to think for themselves, like all of those things, like you don't realize it, but if you have those beliefs about your clients, that's actually going to show up in your coaching, which therefore is going to affect everything.
Mhm. Well, we talk about burnout a lot with the whole one-on-one services, and so many people are like, "Well, I don't wanna do one-on-one anymore because I just get burnt out from it." And listen, if you're doing, like, 10 back-to-back sessions 5 days a week, then this is not who we're talking to, right? But we're
Yeah.
talking about the people who maybe there's space in your calendar, but there's that, like, emotional
Mhm.
heaviness or the mental heaviness of that, "Oh, these clients that are so difficult." And my perspective is if that's the experience you're having with I mean, yes, like once in a while it might happen and it's not indicative of necessarily this huge problem, but if it's happening regularly, that actually is something that will prevent your business from growing because why would you want to increase the number of clients that you have that are having that impact on you or having that experience with you? If you're, feeling exhausted by who you're working with, if you're dreading the check-ins, if you're dreading the calls, if you're dreading the Voxer message or however you're communicating, why would you want double that or triple that to
Mhm.
grow your
Yeah, can you
business?
imagine turning around and showing up in your Instagram stories and trying to sell after that's how you felt all day?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So, I mean, like I said, it's not that every single client you work with is just gonna be this, like, magical, no problems experience, but if you're feeling like you literally are dreading looking at feedback forms or check-in forms or whatever, that is going to show up in how confidently and
Mhm.
enthusiastically that you're selling or even if you're selling at all, and whether you realize it or not, that is something that will affect your business. I know for me personally, anytime I get into a funk around people, are they getting results or if I have a particularly difficult client that I'm working with or if I had to deal with like a refund request, it's like I have to really get myself back into a place where I can then keep showing up. So if that's happening every single day, I can only imagine that that would be, pretty harmful to their business. So that's an area where sometimes I think people just think that's what coaching and, health and fitness and nutrition coaching is like babysitting people or
Mm,
dragging them to the finish line. And I feel like if that's what you expect, you wouldn't know that that's not what a good
right.
coaching
That's
experience would
true. It's
be.
like, it doesn't
So
have to be that way, I
yeah.
promise. Yeah.
Mhm. Well, because we, as dietitians, we do like 1,200 hours of
Yeah.
unpaid internships. So we don't, we pay a lot of money to work for our degree. And a lot of it is like going to the hospital where somebody just had a heart attack 2 days ago. And they send you into the room with your little like heart attack diet sheet that you're supposed to educate this person in 7 minutes. And it's
Oh,
like,
jeez.
that's the
Yeah.
experience at least dietitians come from, and so you're basically trained to just have people that don't want to talk to you. They don't
Mhm.
care. They're like, why are you even here? And so it's like to try to move from that into a relationship where the person's motivated and showing up and having these incredible results. It's like it's a big jump. So I feel like that skill gap would be something that could really, if you can close that, that could really help change your experience of working with clients so that it doesn't feel like, you're showing up to Sally's room and she's giving you the side eye about the low sodium diet plan that you have to recommend to her.
Sally and her side eye.
Well, speaking of education, I know that you have a free training as of the week of this podcast going live. So, do you want to tell our listeners a little bit about
Yeah.
that and why they should come to it?
Yeah, it's called the coaching code. So, code being like we're kind of unlocking the missing pieces to your coaching practices. So, especially if you're like listening to the last part of this episode and thinking, yeah, like what would it be like if I could actually get excited by those clients that are like low motivation or falling off the plan because I have these specific tools and things that I can help them with. And that's fun for me, not like I need to push those people away. Like, I actually want to lean in and help those people more. And that's what the coaching code is all all about. So we're going to be talking about mindset and psychology and self-sabotage and behavior change, and all of that is a 3-day series. So August 14th, 18th, and 20th. I hope I'm getting those dates right. But Thursday, Tuesday, Thursday, starting this week as you're listening to this episode. Totally free. Get to come hang out with me. If you've enjoyed this episode, we're going to go even deeper into a lot of these different topics. Definitely give you some education while also helping you with your own mindset around all of this stuff. So yeah, I hope to see you there.
Amazing. Well, we will link to that in the show notes. So if you're listening to this, just go check that out and that'll take you to the registration page for that training. Well, Kasey, thank you so much for coming on and chatting with me about all the different ways that mindset and coaching skills show up in your business. I feel like we probably could have found 100 different other ones, but I think we covered the most
Seriously.
important ones and the most common ones. So thank you so much for sharing your expertise. And I'll have to see if I can attend that training because I feel like I'm always learning more about this topic myself.
Yeah, that'd be so fun. And thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. Thanks for hanging out with us, guys. We'll see you here next week on the Nourish CEO podcast. Take care. Thanks so much for tuning in to this episode of the Nourished CEO podcast. If you enjoyed this conversation and it brought you value, I would be so grateful if you would take a minute to leave a review over on iTunes. Your feedback not only helps more amazing coaches and practitioners like you find the show, it also helps me keep creating the kind of content that you want more of. Just head over to Apple Podcasts, search for the Nourish CEO podcast, scroll down and tap that write a review button. It only takes a minute and it means the world to me. Thanks again for being here, and I'll catch you on the next episode.